Book 1, Chapter 7 Judgment in the Court of the Afterlife. It is written in the Ofudezaki. Because of my destined mission, I have been considered fiercely impartial, the genuine spirit of Ushitora no Konjin. So if really sincere people who have amended their conduct come to me, I am an indescribably loving God. However, if people with the slightest degree of avariciousness or self-conceit, dishonest motives, or hostility in their natures approach me, my features will change into something like a devil or a monstrous serpent. Later, when I first made acquaintance with a passage from the Ofudezaki, I could not help remembering the scene of this meeting with the king of Hades. When I first had the honor of seeing our foundress, looking at her gracious, serene, and benevolent features, I could not help remembering the saintly face of the king. The king stood up and took a firm grip of my hands. His eyes were full of tears. "You spirit of Misu," he said, "it is not going to be easy for you, but you must now put all the discipline you will undergo into practice as savior for both Hades and the material world. And you must put into practical use all you will learn of what it means to be the Messiah." He looked at me. "I really feel that I should offer you a beverage of some kind, but you are not allowed to take hot drinks, nor even water during discipline." He paused. "Well, you must start your discipline as soon as possible." His voice had become tearful. "My guardian deity spoke to the king. I leave him entirely in your hands." Then, without a backward glance, he mounted his cloud and in a burst disappeared from our sight. Fuyo also bowed to the king in silence, and without another word to me, quickly left his seat. I was all alone with the king and a little terrified. The countenance of the king suddenly turned dreadful, his eyes starting to sparkle like mirrors, his mouth gaping wide to the ears. It was so terrifying that I could not bear to raise my face. Then the official I had seen before approached, accompanied by sentries. In a moment I was stripped off my white robe, forced to put on a gray-colored one, and was pushed out of the front gate. Having been so unceremoniously expelled, I looked about me at my surroundings. There was the line of a dirty path covered with dried grass, the blades of which were like needles of ice. I could go neither backward nor forward. On both sides of the path were very wide gutters, filled with dreadful and repellent-looking insects. I hesitated to move and stood lost in deep thought. Green and jet-black clouds quickly filled the skies. Among the clouds, a horrendous demoniacal entity was scowling at me fiercely. From behind, a hard-featured minion of Hades in a yellowish-brown short coat was stabbing at me with a sharp-edged spear, the head of which was shaped like the Chinese character plus. I was forced to move on as if running for my life. After I had run forward 500 meters or so, I reached a deep and wide river with no bridges. As I surveyed the scene before me, I could see some sort of people, I could not distinguish what kind, falling into the river that flowed with some incomprehensible substance like dark blood or discharge. Their persons soaked up the blood from head to toe, even parts of the body which were covered with clothing. The travelers were jostling each other in anguish and in pain. I had to cross the waterway too, yet without wings, how could I get across so wide and deep a flood? A red-faced sentry with a diabolic look was after me, trying to prod me with his spear. Nearly hysterical, I pondered my predicament. All of a sudden, I remembered the volume that had been given to me by my guardian deity. I took the book from my pocket, and lifting it reverently to my forehead, I let it fall open to the following words. The great goddess Amaterasu, leave all in God's hands. Both the handwriting and the shade of ink were beautiful and brilliantly clear. I began instinctively to chant, O great goddess Amaterasu, leave all in God's hands. And I found myself on the further side of the waterway. Looking back, I could see the sentry returning the way he had come. A temporary wave of relief swept over me as I proceeded on my way. At once, a rigorous chill set in. My limbs were fast becoming numb, and I was unable to move. Next, a gold-colored light began to glow, and while I was wondering at it in astonishment, abruptly a ball of light descended to a point 2 or 3 feet below the level of my knees.